Hi, welcome to this edition of Rutherford County Magazine. I'm your host, Nakia Young. We've got a lot of great things in store for you on this edition of Rutherford County Magazine. First, we'll speak with Rutherford County engineer, Delwyn Corbett, who'll give us some insight about the road widening project on Halls Hill Pike. Then we'll also give you some insight about some of the changes it's gone through since the 1800s. Second, we'll talk to Dr. Michael Payne, director of the Rutherford County Community Learning Center. He'll talk to us about who they are, what they do, and how they help our youth here in Rutherford County. Last, we'll speak with Anthony Tuggle, director for the UT TSU Extension Office at the Lane Agri Park. He'll talk to us about some of the changes that it's gone through from its move from the farmers market to Canonsburg to right here where we stand today. So sit back and enjoy this edition of Rutherford County Magazine. Halls Hill Pike was built in the 1850 and was originally called Liberty Turnpike. The turnpike was built to the east of Murfreesboro and traveled down to the town of Liberty in DeKalb County. Turnpikes were common in the 1800s as a way of generating revenue to maintain the roads. During the Civil War, most of the turnpikes in the county were abandoned and in bad need of repair after the war was over. In 1878, all but 10 miles of the Liberty Turnpike were usable from Murfreesboro to the eastern part of the county. After 1878, extensive road work was done to improve the road to be usable again. The road was eventually called Halls Hill Pike because the road passed by Halls Hill in the eastern part of the county. During the Second World War, the road was used by the military for maneuvers and training for the invasion of France due to the hedges, rock walls, and terrain that resembled the French countryside. During the training exercises, bridges and the road itself were severely beaten down, and again the road was repaired after World War II was over. Halls Hill Pike remained a dangerous and narrow two-lane road for the next half-century. In 2008, construction started on upgrading the road to a modern three-lane highway with turning lanes and sidewalks.
Approximately 5 years ago, the Planning Commission went through a process to prioritize road projects. The county at that time had not done a road project. We had participated with the city as far as money-wise, but we've not actually done one. They then prioritized the top three. They came up with a list of about 40. They prioritized the top three that they wanted to do, and Halls Hill was the number one priority. It had to do with the fact that there was a lot of safety concerns. At one time, Halls Hill Pike was released on a state survey as being the most dangerous road in the state. Very narrow, twisty, lack of vision, sight distance. So it was determined through a vote then at that point that Halls Hill would be the first road project that we actually did in the county.
Once those safety concerns had been established, steps were taken during the planning and construction of the project.
We reduced some of the curves, we knocked off some of the hills to improve sight distance. We put in sidewalks on both sides of the road for the people to use. They were trying to utilize the road for bicycle traffic and walk traffic. There was a school that we went in front of. The kids were walking down that road to get to school. There's been challenges throughout the project. The way this is set up in the road system in the county, we could not divert traffic around, so we had to deal with traffic going through the construction zone. There's a community meeting they hold out here about every 2 months. Our project officer, Eric Hill, and our inspector went to those meetings, gave them updates on what was going on.
Keeping the citizens informed about the project is important, including when it will be completed.
For approximately 2 years, the project is scheduled to actually go through next May. It appears that we will be through the project in about 6 weeks, which puts us in October, so we're ahead of schedule. That has to do with several things that worked in our favor. The weather's been favorable. We had very little delays because of weather. The utilities have worked with us closely through a lot of coordination so that the utilities were moved, include the telephone poles, the water lines, the sewer lines, and the gas lines. The telephone people have worked with us right well. So a lot of things have fallen in place that on a project of this type will a lot of times slow you down. And as a result, we've been able to get through ahead of schedule.
Again, my name is Nakia Young of the Rutherford County Magazine, and I'm here in the historic Rutherford County Courthouse. That was a great topic we just did on the Halls Hill Pike Road widening project. There's a lot of history there about the origins of the road and its role in the community that we citizens may not have known about. So we're going to move on to our next topic. We're going to discuss a school here that's a little bit different from what our perceptions may be. So here to talk to us about that school is Dr. Michael Payne of the Rutherford County Community Learning Center. Good morning.
How you doing?
Pretty good. And yourself?
I'm doing just fine.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. A little bit about myself. Well, I was born and raised in a little small town called Huntland, Tennessee.
Okay.
I was a poor high school student, even though I had great parental support. I had all these people telling me how important it was, but I didn't really listen to them. Got to college, first year, I quickly found out they were telling me the truth. In fact, they had learned a great deal.
Where did you go?
Huntland High School, then I went to Martin Junior College at the time. Now it's Martin Methodist.
Okay.
And I went on a baseball scholarship.
All right.
I was gonna be a Major League Baseball player, but it didn't work.
Well, you know what? I always tell people I want to be an MTV VJ, and Murfreesboro isn't close to New York, so I think we're about in the same boat.
Sometimes the dreams just don't work, do they?
Sometimes they don't. It's like reality and the dreams, sometimes they're not on the same page.
Click. Anyway, this program was created by the juvenile judge at the time, who was Judge Clayton.
Okay.
What was happening is that he was getting juveniles that came before him that had no school. Back in those days, if you got kicked out of school, there were no alternative programs. You were just on the streets. So he wanted to start a school where if they did get kicked out, he could send them. Now, CLC started, we're sitting in the exact place. CLC was a one little room entity right back there.
Okay.
This was circuit court. So this place existed for 5 years, and then I took over as director in 1987.
Okay.
I think what we were doing is keeping kids off the streets for 7 hours a day. So we stayed here a year, and mercifully, Mr. Mankin, who was the county executive, and now they call it county mayor, he moved the program to the old jail. And we were the only people down there. I mean, I had complete run of the place. Okay. That was a blessing, even though it was an old building. So back in those days, we were known as court school because everybody that came to me was sent to me by juvenile court. Well, immediately, there's problem number one. Juvenile judges are not educators, and plus, I would give them a criteria. By this time, I started with Judge Corlew, then Judge Lowry, and I would give criteria to Judge Lowry about who I wanted him to send me, but they would lie to him. They would say, well, I'm a senior. And then they would get down to me, and I would look at the transcript. They were nothing. They were freshmen, I mean, and a half a credit, whatever. We wanted to identify a population, and we wanted to change this policy of they would come and stay at our school for 6 weeks, 9 weeks, then I would take them back to the school that they came, with the assumption that the 9 weeks with us changed their life and they were going to make it. That made no sense to me whatsoever. So the first break we got is I was allowed to interview students, and I was allowed to take who I wanted to take. And the second break is we stopped taking them back. They came to us, they stayed with us, and then when graduation came, they would go back and graduate from their home schools. Well, that was problematic. They didn't want to graduate from their home schools, so we decided to get accredited. And that was a major movement. So what we are right now is a Category 1, state-approved, non-public, private school. Even though we are a private school with no tuition, we are completely funded by the general fund of Rutherford County, and we're a private school that caters only to at-risk teenagers. So taking you through that evolution of how the program has changed, that's a wild story because now we had a goal. The goal is still the same. we need to graduate these kids. And since now we're accredited, they leave with a diploma from the Community Learning Center. Now the traveling, you know, we started here the first year. I stayed at the old jail for 20 years, and a lot of groups came and went. And after 5 years of hard negotiating and begging, we now have a juvenile justice center. And it's a multi-million-dollar building located at 1710 South Church Street. I'm a little part of that building, but I'm in it. And it is in pristine condition, and this is our second year that we've been in it. So we've come a long way in location, and we've made tremendous changes to the program as it was when it started. And we're very proud of it, and I still get up every day, and I don't hate going to work. These teenagers are very demanding, but we still enjoy working with them, and they desperately need our help.
Okay. So let's get into some details. This school is particularly designed for children who may not fit into the regular school system.
The one commonality that all my students have is that something was not going right at their high school. And you looked at their transcript and it has dropout written all over it. And we're in this big anti-dropout movement, and we should be.
And that's fantastic.
So, and in the 21st century, without a high school diploma, I have no idea where to go. And I have no advice to give anyone. In fact, that's just a beginning. So the only commonality that I would feel comfortable with saying about my student population is at high school, things were not working. Now, there could be a million reasons for that. They come from all backgrounds, but at high school, all the high schools in Rutherford County, things just were not going well. And we've actually targeted even more. I basically want to take juniors and seniors. That way they have done something at their high school, but things have gone drastically wrong. And so if we can get them as juniors, first thing we've got to do, we're salesmen. I got to sell them that this diploma really is a big deal.
That's right.
And for my kids, that's a tough sell for some of them. Many of my students that have graduated, they're first generation high school graduates. Nobody in their family has ever graduated from high school. So the first thing I must do is sell them. Now, you've got to promise me that, in fact, during the interview, they have to promise me that they're going to graduate. And so that's the ultimate goal. And since we're smaller, we have some other goals. We want to teach them some life lessons.
That's right.
And some of my students, people make the assumption that everybody knows right from wrong, and that everybody lives in a nice little middle-class home with 2 cars in the garage, and mom and dad is there, and nobody's homeless, and all that is present right here in Rutherford County. I've had a little bit of everything. So we have to literally start and assume that we're going to talk life skills, we're going to talk right and wrong without getting into the moral, immoral thing, but the right and the wrong. And because some of my kids legitimately do not know.
Yeah, some of those things have probably...
They've never been taught.
Been pointed out. So then we're talking about, because since you told us the evolution of the center and you've talked about some of the things you do currently, we want to make sure that we make this clear to the public. What is the exact criteria to get in the school? Are they, no longer, like you said, recommended from the judge? So we want to know, is it a GPA requirement? You spoke about juniors and seniors, but GPA interviews, what things do they have to do to get into the school?
Okay. Sometimes they have been kicked out of every school in Rutherford County. So it's me or nothing. Now, that doesn't mean I take them. I mean, I have to have the space and they have to pass the interview. The first thing I tell every person that interviews is that you're on an interview. If you're trying to get into my school, you're on a job interview, so you better impress me because there's a long waiting list to get in. So, no, there's not necessarily a GPA requirement, but I won't take freshmen. Because it's just not designed that way. I don't want to take sophomores. So I really want them to have 10 credits. That doesn't always work, but it's close to working all the time. And they got to have a good interview and impress me and convince me they're going to stay with me, they're going to graduate. I get referrals from graduation coaches, which is a new and a very smart thing the school system did. I get referrals from guidance counselors, YSO, Youth Service Office, Tina Sanders program. I get referrals there. I get referrals from attendance personnel.
Okay.
I get referrals from all kinds of places.
Okay.
And the thing is, okay, I'll put you on the waiting list, or if I have an opening, I will interview. And that's probably one of the hardest parts of my job, because I have to say no to some kids because they just didn't interview as well, or the transcript. What I look for is, it's not GPA, but I really want them to have 10 credits. Right now, it takes 20 credits to graduate in the state of Tennessee, and that's 20 credits of the right thing. Now, that changes with incoming freshmen this year. It's going to change to 22, and Rutherford County Schools, which I'm not affiliated with, they've decided to make it 23 credits.
Okay.
So the number of credits with incoming freshmen this year has changed from 20 to 22.
Okay.
And so if they have 10 credits, that tells me they have put in 2 or maybe 3 years of high school, and they have at least done something.
Is this program an alternative or your last step before you can either choose, for a junior or senior, to choose whether they would like to do the GED? I mean, you know, pretty much that's the ultimatum. Is that how it works, or this is kind of like the last step before you get that?
Because of No Child Left Behind, if they're 18 and they get to me, it's me or nothing.
Okay.
Now, the GED, I'll leave that to someone else. That's someone else's calling. I don't feel comfortable. I know there are various places one can get it. So mainly when they get to me, I'm the last shot of the diploma seeking. I mean, if by the time they reach me, they've probably been at every possible other alternative program, and it's me.
Well, you know
or
what?
Us.
I've learned a whole lot about the Community Learning Center, and I think this is an excellent program, and it's an excellent resource for Rutherford County. I think this is an interesting tool, and I want to say congratulations to you from this journey, obviously, from this small area to 1710 South Church Street.
Yes.
And we want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. We want to thank you again for making this dedication to the youth, doing everything that you do to give them another chance. Okay, let's move on to our next topic, which is the new farmers market location. So let's go out to the farmers market and check it out. Everybody loves fresh fruits and vegetables. It's just either your lifestyle is too busy or you don't have the garden to grow them. But there's one place here in the county that grows all the fruits and vegetables that you can imagine. That one place is the farmers market. The farmers market brings growers and buyers together in one place where you can find just about any kind of fruit and vegetable that is grown locally. We talked with Rebecca Norman, who oversees the market, about what procedures are put in place to make sure you, the buyer, are getting the best produce.
Well, my job, as I see it, is to really encourage and aid the vendors as they come to present their products. This is a grower's market, so everyone that's selling products here have grown the product or made the product from a grown produce here in Tennessee. When a vendor wants to sell at our market, they're required to fill out a form, and they list on there everything that they want to sell. Now, if they're from another county, the extension agent there in that county actually looks over the form and verifies that they're selling that produce. If it's in our county, we do the same thing. But still, there are questions sometimes when things come in. Sometimes our vendors do such a good job of presenting their merchandise that people may wonder, did they really grow it? And in that situation, we'll go no matter where they are. Say if they're in Warren County or Cannon County, we'll go see them and we'll actually verify that they've got those plants there on their farm to produce what they're selling here at the market.
Hi, we're here at the farmers market. Once again, we're meeting some of the staff. Right now we have the new director of the UT TSU Extension Office, and I will have to say again, I'm a TSU alumni. So anyhow, we're here with Mr. Anthony Tuggle again, who's the new director. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here this morning. I'm glad you all came out to see our new farmers market.
Yeah, so, well, we know that you actually manage the facility. So tell us something about that. What's that been like, the new changes, the new building? things like
Well, the facility opened up, our farmers market typically runs the second Friday in June through the last Friday in October. We just opened this new facility June the 12th. And with that new change as well, I actually started being a director July 1. So there's a lot of changes kind of happened real quick. But we're excited about the new market. We are getting a lot of people to come out. We're talking with some of the vendors and some of the consumers have been coming. Everyone is excited about the new facility and great to like the location as well. We also have more vendors here than we had in the past, and we're also getting more customers to come in and actually buy. We've been averaging, especially on Fridays, probably anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 people to come in to actually purchase fresh fruit, vegetables, as well as some nursery crops and things like that also. So it's been real good so far.
Okay. So, you know, you've got the new facility and you're talking about the new type of traffic that you've been having. You're saying 2,500 to 3,000 people. How has the facility been holding that? You know, I know that's what it was designed for, but is it actually really working the way that it was planned?
It works great. Since we're here from farmers market, open from 6 to 11. It's not like all 3,000 stay here at the same time, so which that is a good thing. So basically, it's kind of a constant traffic. Usually, the biggest traffic typically be from time 6 o'clock to up about 9. From then, it's kind of real constant. We probably have anywhere here now probably 500-600 people just coming in and constant. We have two sides, kind of a big side, like which side we're in now, and also a little smaller side as well. But people just go back and forth to the different vendors and purchase beans, corn, tomatoes, peppers, whatever they actually need.
With the transition to the new facility from the old one at Cannonsburg, there are some changes that were made, but how much?
It was a transition that was really foreseen probably 10 years ago as planning committees and extension and different county officials worked together. Their goal eventually was to have all of our programming and all of the things that extension oversees in one location. So this process actually started probably 10 years ago. And in the later years, of course, it escalated as we finally got this building completed. Last year, vendors knew that we'd be moving here, and it really has worked out well with that construction that was on Broad. I'm so thankful we're here at this new location. We've got ample parking here. We've got covered and temperature-controlled space when the weather warrants it.
We're here at the Farmers Market, and we're here with Mr. Lowe, who has been at the Farmers Market since 1975. So, of course, this is the newest change, and we want to see all the change. We want to hear about all the changes you've heard since, or you've seen since 1975, since you've been coming here.
There's been a lot of changes, more vendors and a lot more produce, and a real nice market.
Well, we are so happy that you're still with us in 2009. Again, this is Mr. Lowe, who's been coming to the Farmers Market since 1975.
I've had a few vendors share with me that their sales have increased about 25% in this location over last year. So that's fantastic.
As you can see, you can find just about anything here at the Farmers Market. We want to thank everybody that contributed to this great edition of Rutherford County Magazine. We want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. And if you'd like to know more about Rutherford County government, feel free to log on to www.rutherfordcountyn.gov. And as always, thank you for tuning in to this edition of Rutherford County Magazine.